Data just released in China show that electric car sales have reached an incredible new record. They just hit nearly 1 million for a single month. That's in December of 2023, and that means that for the whole year, there was nearly 10 million plug-in hybrid and fully electric cars sold in China. Of those, nearly 7 million were fully electric cars. That means 10% of the entire global car market was sold as EV-only vehicles in China. Well, the entire global car market is around 75 million cars. I mean, we had nearly 7.5 million EVs sold in China. That means that, well, clearly we've reached a new inflection point, a new pivot point has occurred, because before we were saying, you know what, 10% of the global car market is fully electric. Now, that has grown significantly in the last couple of months. The media got this all wrong. EV demand is actually way higher than what people realize. Hello, my friends. Welcome to the channel. I'm Sam Evans. You're watching the Electric Viking. The official numbers here. Outside of China, 936,000 is the official number. That's up 46% year over year. So that means that EV demand in China has grown by nearly 50%. In 12 months. Massive. I mean, what does that mean for EV sales worldwide? Well, it means Tony Seba's prediction of $5,000 electric cars being on sale, this is US dollars, being on sale in the Western world by 2030. It doesn't sound so crazy. I mean, I initially saw that and I thought, is that a little bit insane? But actually, no, it's not, because these cars for sale in China right now are $5,000. You can get electric cars in China. They're actually pretty good for $5,000 in China today. So it's really only a matter of time before those cars are on sale outside of China for similar prices. Now, will you want to get a $5,000 EV? Probably not, but a $20,000 one, it's going to be pretty damn good by 2030. So what's actually going on here in the car market in China? China's passenger NEV sales were 7.75 million for the entire year of 2023. Now, we have official numbers for November for the best-selling electric cars in China, where it gives you an idea of what's happening in the world's most important car market, Volkswagen Group. Just looking down the list here, guys, do I see any Volkswagen cars? I see one. It's in 17th place. That's got to be concerning for Volkswagen, the group, considering 50% of its profits for its company come from China. 50% worldwide, or at least they used to anyway. I don't know if they did this year, probably not. Best-selling electric car in November in China was the Tesla Model Y. Hang on a minute, there's no demand for Tesla Model Ys in China. Well, turns out there is. 50,000 Tesla Model Ys were delivered in November in China. And that number is actually expected to be a fair bit bigger in December. Unofficial delivery numbers suggest that Tesla delivered nearly 70,000 electric cars in China in December. So likely more than that in December. The Seagull was the second best-selling electric car in November in China. 46,603 deliveries. Third best-selling EV was the BYD Dolphin. 35,000. BYD Yen Plus, or the BYD Atto 3, 25,761. The Wuling Bingo, 24,000. So that's interesting. Wuling Bingo has obviously had a pretty serious growth numbers here. Hasn't been in the top 5 EVs in China ever before. Next was the Wuling Hongwan Mini EV. General Motors are probably saying that they're dominating world EV sales because they earn 33% of that sale. For each sale of a Wuling Hongwan Mini EV, they get 33%. But that said, I don't believe they make any profit on that car. It costs $5,000. It's very affordable. The way they make money out of it, though, is by getting incentives from the Chinese government and local incentives. Basically, that's where their profit comes from. Anyhow, Wuling Hongwan Mini EV had 23,000 deliveries. Next was the GAC Aeon Y. GAC delivered around 50,000 electric cars in November, just under 50,000 in China. Are they the next BYD? Well, maybe not, but they are going to be the third biggest electric car company in the world next year. That's almost certain. Tesla Model 3 Highland was the next best-selling car with 15,627 deliveries. Apparently, Model 3 Highland sales did grow in December, but the truth is there's a massive, massive oversupply of electric sedans in China. There's just too many of them. They're selling them really, really cheap because there's literally more than 50 different models. They're well priced. They're good quality. Sure, there's bad ones. There's really bad ones, but there's also really, really good ones as well. So the Model 3 Highland has to compete with that. Very tough market. The Model Y, it's obviously a much more popular body style. So you can see the Model Y is easily outselling the Model 3, even though it's the new Model 3, the Highland version. The Geely Panda Mini was Geely's best-selling electric car. 15,000 of those were delivered. That was followed by the Chang'an Lumen with 15,000 deliveries. And next we have the Volkswagen ID3. The ID3, 12,000 deliveries. There's a new version in China of the ID3, but I think the Volkswagen Group has changed their strategy. Maybe they've seen all the YouTube videos saying, hang on a minute, the ID3 costs $16,000 in China. Why is it 37,000 euros in Europe? Or, why is it more than double the price everywhere else around the world? Well, anyway, whatever the case may be, it's much more expensive now. The new version, not much different to the old version. Pretty similar, to be honest. But it's now starting at a minimum of 23,000 US dollars. So big price increase for the ID3. I expect that will hurt sales for the ID3 in 2024. But likely Volkswagen Group will reduce the price at some point. That's what they're known to do. So in fact, everyone's doing that right now in China. The next best-selling electric car was the GAC Aeon S. So you can see GAC doing well, 11,728 deliveries. And that was followed by the BYD Song, the electric version with 11,000 deliveries. And the BYD Chin Plus EV with 11,900. So those are the 15 best-selling electric cars in China. Surprisingly to many, the Model Y is still in huge demand. But keep in mind, the Model Ys delivered in November were the new version of the Model Y. Most of them were, at least 90% were. And they have an upgrade. They have more range. They have a much more powerful motor. The rear-wheel drive version, the most popular version, the cheapest version, it now has around 80 to 100 horsepower, more power than what it previously had. It also has some improvements to the interior, new wheels. Yeah, it's quite a bit better than the old version of the Model Y. Now that vehicle is not just for China. It's obviously for all countries that get Chinese-made Model Ys. So that's the vehicle you'll be getting if you've ordered a Model Y, which will come from the Chinese factory this year. Good news for Australians and people in New Zealand and Thailand and, all those places that get the Chinese Model Y. I'm guessing those changes will probably not come to US-made electric cars, probably not German ones either. I think you guys are going to go straight to the Juniper version. So the Juniper version is expected mid-year. Now, surprisingly, even though the Model Y did very, very well, those sales numbers were actually down 5% year over year. General Motors actually had I believe its best-selling month for EVs in China ever. It had the Buick Velite 6 station wagon. There was 8,000 deliveries of that model, which is actually a really good result. The Buick Electra E5 is General Motors, their new kind of SUV that they're selling now. Hopefully that sells really well in China as well. It might. It's got a tough market. I don't think people see Buick or General Motors as really an EV brand. So that might be a tough sell, but we'll see. So the best-selling electric car brands, as in overall brands in China in November, were BYD number one. They had 34% market share in China, which is just truly staggering. That does include plug-in hybrids though. And the truth is the market is now moving towards EVs. I mean, more than 60% of all NEV, new energy vehicles sold, are fully electric. So keep in mind that 34%, it's covering not just EVs, but also plug-in hybrids. Tesla has 7.5%, but that figure is probably closer to 10% if you don't include plug-in hybrids. GAC Aeon, 6%, probably closer to 8% if you don't include plug-in hybrids. SGMW has 5.6%, and Li Auto has 4.6%, but all of those were plug-in hybrids. Li Auto just revealed their latest, or their first electric vehicle, and I did a video on that one. I'll put a link in the description. It's a really nice electric car. Now, speaking of Tesla, guys, how is Tesla actually going in China? Well, in December, Tesla delivered 94,000 vehicles made in China worldwide. The majority of those, it's believed around 70,000 of those were actually delivered within China. So Tesla's China sales are actually going pretty well, and they have grown significantly versus 2022. Tesla's China sales were up 33% for 2023 versus 2022. So Good growth numbers, 33%, of course, not as good as what Tesla's sales in other markets were in terms of their growth rate, but it is a really tough market, China. And if you can do well in China, well, you're doing incredibly well because, who's doing well in China? BYD, Tesla, a bunch of Chinese automakers, and no one else. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.